And I won't be the first or the last to tell you that, especially when it comes to Thailand, all those ideas are probably wrong. A couple days ago, one of you guys asked me a great question, one I've never gotten before, and it really got me thinking. If you don't know, I moved to Thailand from America about little over 2 years ago, and one of you guys asked if I could go back and do it all over again, would I do anything different? Or would I come to Thailand at all? In short, yes. I would still come to Thailand, but even though I am happy with the way that I did do it, if I did it again, I would do some things different, absolutely. So in today's video, that's what we're talking about. My top 5 biggest regrets, biggest things I wish I would have done differently before coming to Thailand, or maybe right when I got here. I'm Ian, you are watching Tempus TV. Let's get into it. I actually made some notes today. I usually do, but today I definitely went more in depth. So if you see me staring at my phone, that's why. I feel like these things are pretty important, so I wanted to make sure I nailed them down perfectly. First things first, while everywhere in Thailand is good for its own reasons, everywhere has its pros and cons. One regret that I do have, I wish I would have done a little bit more research before I chose where I wanted to be. While Pattaya is great for its own reasons, there are some things that I enjoy doing or enjoy being around that are just a bit more accessible in other parts of Thailand. So ideally, especially if you're planning a move here or even just a long-term kind of staycation type deal, ideally I would recommend coming to Thailand maybe once or twice, cruise around to a bunch of different places, because that's going to give you a much better idea than, you know, watching these videos or reading so many posts, because everybody's different, right? And I feel like if you do that, nice. If you're able to do that, it's just much more likely that you'll be able to pick a spot and be happy there, and you won't have to pick up and move again. Moving right along, when I was getting ready to come here, I honestly did hardly any research at all. A lot of that came from never living in a different country before, so there were a lot of questions that I didn't even know I had, I guess you could say. There was things that I didn't realize I would need to understand, or different ways to do things, because I had never moved before. I didn't really know the logistics of it. Now for me, in a sense, I'm happy that I didn't, because that made the experience a whole lot more surreal when I first got here. And I was kind of riding on that line. It was kind of like overwhelming, but also super exciting. But at the same time, I do regret not doing more research on kind of the logistics of living in Thailand. You know, all that daily stuff that we have to do, monthly, paying bills, phones, you know what I mean? All that logistical stuff, government stuff, visas. Like I said, I didn't really know what my questions were. So I do wish I would have done a little bit more research on that. You know, kind of the systems and processes you'll need to understand, and you're gonna have to deal with if you're planning on being here long term. Not knowing what I was getting myself into in those regards did make way for a lot of stress that was avoidable at times. So having a good grasp on how to do things before you get here is just gonna kind of help you avoid unwanted stress. Things like bank accounts, visas, signing condo leases, stuff like that. Now for me, when I was planning on coming here and starting this channel, I knew what it would take to motivate myself and to be in the right position to kind of force myself to succeed. Now, don't get me wrong, I am happy that I went that route, because I mean, I know me, and it has helped and continues to help push me forward. And I kind of, you know, I don't have a choice but to keep going, which for me, honestly, I'm a procrastinator sometimes. Sometimes I don't put 100% effort into things. So when you gotta kind of have to do it, that works out for me. But with that said, I do kind of regret not giving myself a longer, maybe more realistic time frame. So if you're planning to come here and build something new for yourself, maybe, you know, a new job, or maybe you want to start a YouTube channel, and if you're not like me, if you don't have, you know, trouble with procrastination or staying motivated, I would strongly suggest saving more money and giving yourself more time than you might think you need. In a lot of circumstances, I feel like not only myself, I feel like a lot of us, we kind of give ourselves really optimistic time frames, and if you can get stuff figured out sooner rather than later, that's great. But you know, for me, having to kind of pack it up and go home, that is something that I really want to avoid at all costs. So that is something I kind of regret, is not giving myself more of a time frame, because it really piled on, the stress. Like I said, it was kind of good for me because it forced me to, you know, make things happen, but at the same time, stress isn't good for anybody. So if you don't have trouble staying motivated, if you can stay on task and stay committed to things, no problem, I would suggest saving up as much money and giving yourself as much time as possible. And even when you think you've gotten to that point where you're gonna have enough time, probably add a little bit more. Now, I've made some videos before kind of, you know, talking about the major cultural differences between Thai people and Americans especially. If you've never been to Thailand before, or Asia in general, when you first get here, there's gonna be situations where you don't know what the hell is going on and you don't understand why people are talking the way they are, or maybe not talking the way that you think they should be. Now, for me, if I could do this all again, I would for sure put in some more time to learning to understand the major differences between Thai culture and American culture, especially when it comes to like interpersonal relationships. You know, Thai people handle conflict and disagreements and so many things just wholly different than Americans do. And don't get me wrong, you can show up and kind of figure it out as you go, but especially if you're planning on coming here and making some Thai friends, those are good things to understand, because, you know, you might think a situation is one way, or you might think your Thai friend feels this way, when in all reality, that's just how Thai people approach that situation. So it might not be exactly what you think. And none of us like to feel stupid. None of us like to not understand what is going on around us, or kind of feel, you know, like the satellite circling the situation. So especially if you're planning on moving here, I would highly recommend that you hop back, check out those videos, as well as any others you may find on YouTube or wherever, just talking about these situations, so you don't feel like an idiot when you end up in one of them, which you for sure will. Now, especially if you've never been overseas at all, when you get to Thailand, you may not realize it, but in your brain, you've got this idea of, you know, how things, how systems, whatever, just how things in the world tend to work. And I won't be the first or the last to tell you that, especially when it comes to Thailand, all those ideas are probably wrong. Things are more than likely gonna be a lot different than you may realize. Now, for myself, if I could go back, you know, like that first 3 to 6 months that I was here, I definitely regret kind of not just embracing it and, you know, accepting the difference. You know, I've always considered myself to be a very open-minded person, but, you know, when you've gone your whole life doing something one way and then you go somewhere and it's not like that, especially if that, you know, first way you thought it should work in your idea is better. But for me, I definitely regret kind of just not embracing all of it and accepting it, instead of playing the whole comparison game. Oh, well, you know, this is how we do this and this is how we do this. That's a cool story and all, but that's just not how it is, and it's probably not gonna change anytime soon. Now, the reason I came to Thailand, and I'm assuming you as well, the main reason is because you wanted something different, right? But us as humans, we can for sure be stubborn sometimes. So when you get here and something gets frustrating, which it for sure will, just try to remember that you wanted things to be different, and that's really what you were looking for when you made the decision to come here. At least one of them. I hope so, at least. Now, regrets are just a part of life, of course. We all know that. We've all got things in our past that, you know, we wish we did different. But at the end of the day, it's all of our experiences that make us who we are. Good decisions, bad decisions, fun situations, not fun situations. And for me personally, some of my biggest regrets and some of my worst decisions, yes, I wish that I wouldn't have made them, but those are the things that mold you into the person you are now. You'll for sure make mistakes, you'll make bad decisions, but as long as you continue to keep putting one foot in front of the other and just keep committing to your decisions, I think we'll all get to where we want to be eventually, right? So if I could go back and do this all again, those are my top 5 things that I think I might do differently. I don't know, if it really came down to it, I might not do anything differently. But if you're coming to Thailand and these are some things you are thinking about, these are some of the ways that I would recommend you approach it. I don't know everything, but I know a few things. If you made it this far and you did enjoy the video, please feel free to go down, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Doesn't cost you any money or anything. You can unsubscribe at any time. And it for sure helps my videos get to other like-minded people just like you. Standard day in Thailand, it looks like I'm about to get rained on, so I'm gonna finish my little nightly walk and I will catch you in the next video. Hey!